This is question 5. And we have a scatter plot of various companies, of the 8 tried and true companies. And along the horizontal axis is the advertising expenditures in thousands of dollars, and the revenue in thousands is along the horizontal. And we have 8 observations, 8 companies in the tried and true conglomerate. And each of these dots represents a particular company. And we have 8 dots and 8 companies. Now you might think, well, I see only 7. Well, 2 of them are overlapping. Okay, that's why. Now, question A, part A. It asks to graph this y hat, which is called the least squares regression line. And that's the formula. Now, if you don't see that formula on your sheet, it's because of a technical glitch. Your version of Word doesn't understand that formula. But this is the formula. Y hat equals 104.1 plus 50.7 times x. So, part A is plot that line. How do you plot a line? Pick 2 values of x, calculate the y hats for each. That's the first step. So, let's pick x equals 2 and x equals 3. And if x equals 2, then y hat equals 205.5. If x equals 3, then y hat is 256.2. So I have my 2 points that I then plot. Here's 2, 205.5, right here. And here's 3, 256.2. It's up. Oh, it's up here. And then I connect them with a straight line. Now, my artwork here is not very accurate. So when you draw the line, it might not look exactly like that. Okay, so don't panic if your straight line doesn't look exactly like that. It's my mistake, probably. Although it should look close to it. Now it says, label that tried and true. So, here we go. Tried and true. That's the least squares regression line, y hat, equals 104.1 plus 50.7x. Part B is, calculate the predicted company sales when x is 2, when the advertising is $2,000. Well, you know what? We already did it. That's the answer right here. This is the answer to part B. It's 205.5. Because it just so happens we picked x equals 2 as one of our points when we were plotting that line. So the answer to part B is 205.5. Part C is, what's the residual for this observation? 2,220. And that one, what they mean is, what is the residual? Y minus y hat when x is 2 and y is 220. What is the residual? Well, the y is 220. And the y hat, which we just found, was 205.5. I made a mistake. It's 220 minus 205.5. I apologize, I wrote 200 there before. This is 220 minus 205.5. And you subtract those, you get 14.5, which means underpredict. When the residual is positive, it means it underpredicts. When the residual is negative, it overpredicts. In this case, it's positive, so it underpredicts. Part D is, what's the slope? Well, the slope is always the number multiplied by x. So the answer to part D is, the slope is 50.7. So the slope is 50.7. And what does it mean? It means for each additional increase of x by 1, y hat goes up by 50.7. So for every additional $1,000 in advertising, the revenue, the estimated revenue, goes up by $50.7,000. That's the meaning of the slope. Now, part E is, what happens if you add an extra company, a ninth company, which has sales, advertising expenditures of 3.8 and sales of 180. So this point would be somewhere around here. The new company is way over there. So you're adding that company to the other 8. Well, when you do that, you get a new y hat. And the y hat, which is new, is 189. The new y hat is this. Y hat equals 189.5 plus 5.56x. So when you add that new company, this is what y hat becomes. So, first they say plot the new line. And do it just like you did before. Pick two values of x. Let's say x equals 2. Well, you go 2 times 5.56. You get about 11. Add it to 189.5. You get a little over 200. Then pick another value of x. Let's say 3. Well, this becomes something like 16.7. Add that there. And you get about 206 and a half. No, or more than that. So then plot the line, just like you did before. And when you do that, you're going to get a line that looks more flat. I'm just going to do a rough sketch of it. It's going to look something like this. This is with new company. Now, here's the question. Does the line shift significantly? Yes or no? With the addition of that new company? And the answer is yes. It does shift the line significantly. Which means that, for part F is, it is influential. This new company is influential because it causes the least squares regression line to shift significantly. Now the last question, part G, would this new line, which is green, be a good predictor for company sales? And the answer is no, because it doesn't really do a good job going through all the points. Yes, it goes through a few of them closely, but in general, it's missing the dots pretty substantially. So it would not be a good predictor of company sales. So that concludes question 5.